In this video, we're going to be checking out 7 clever builds that were recently shared by members of the MakerPipe community. And these are all really awesome, and they're wildly different. There's a lot of different ideas in here, but they all share one thing in common, which is the fact that they're made with off-the-shelf EMT conduit and MakerPipe connectors. And we're just going to go through, kind of highlight some of the features of these different builds and highlight some techniques that you might can incorporate into your build ideas, even if you're making something totally different. And this first one comes from Thomas, and I love this one a lot. It's really cool, and they did a really fantastic job with making sure this looks awesome and really fits the aesthetic of their house and looks really professional and really nice. And it's a pretty simple framework, and it's meant to be an extension of the kind of pergola awning that they have here to basically just add some wings or whatever you want to call it, some panels off to the side just to add some more shade and to add some more covering to this covered patio area that they have, which is, it looks like an awesome place to hang out and relax and just a beautiful area. So it makes sense that they would want to increase the coverage there. And essentially they just made different panels that mount to the beams on the pergola here, as we can see. And the way they did that was they used the MakerPipe adjustable angle flange, as you can see there. And let's just actually screenshot this and we'll kind of highlight the design. Essentially, they just used those adjustable angle hinges to attach a piece of conduit that comes out of the wall and extends straight out. I would imagine they did the same thing up top here, except instead of it coming straight out, this piece of conduit is coming down at an angle and then is attaching here in the corner with another connector. Probably I would say that's probably actually, what connector is that? It looks like the adjustable angle connector is what I see there. Yeah. So it looks like we can see from this other frame, there's a piece that extends straight out, and then there is a horizontal bar that's running the length of the panel that's going all the way through. And it looks like they have 2 pieces of conduit side by side. So I think that panel is extended and grabbing on there with, looks like it's either an adjustable angle connector or a T connector that's grabbing on the edge. And then directly next to that is another connector, and that is what's extending this piece of conduit up to the other adjustable angle flange that's mounted up here. And we can't really see the interior part of the framework because of the vinyl that they're using here to kind of cover up the frame. We can see here that it's kind of covering a lot of the connections, but we can assume that they used, looks like the same design kind of up top and down low, essentially where there's a horizontal piece that runs from one side, one triangle to the other side where it's mounted, and then they have a cross brace in the middle here with, looks like 2 T connectors that just grab on and add this piece of conduit. And then I don't know where they got this vinyl or this material, but it looks fantastic and just, yeah, really nice solution. And just looks like an awesome awning extension, and it's just a really great build. So really cool, Thomas. Thanks so much for sharing this. We love seeing it. Next up is a really cool canopy bed that was put together by Patrick, and he shared some really awesome builds that he's put together in the past for his daughter. And this is just another one, and he said that she was watching Fancy Nancy and mentioned that she wanted a canopy for her bed, and this is what he came up with using EMT conduit and MakerPipe, and it's really cool. We'll just kind of highlight some of the main designs in the fact that it's got verticals in the corners of the bed, and essentially he used either black connectors that he had on hand from when we used to sell them years ago, or he painted silver connectors black. If you don't know, you can spray paint them really easily, and he may have done that, but essentially just made one big box around the bed, and then I think those verticals go down and kind of fit in between the footboard and the headboard, and are I think they're on casters if I'm not mistaken, or directly next to the casters. I think we'll see in a photo here in a second. But essentially just made this big box and then draped the different material around it, this kind of sheer material, and then I think some fairy lights that they got on Amazon as well. But it looks fantastic, and something you'll notice here is the fact that the EMT conduit is pink instead of silver, and he used a really clever solution for this that I wanted to highlight. Okay, so it looks like it just has rubber pipe feet on the verticals. I was mistaken there. But the cool solution I wanted to highlight is he said he used some of the kind of peel and stick contact paper to add that to the conduit, which is really cool and not something we've ever really thought of or talked a lot about. But essentially, I think he had a roll of it and then cut a piece out of using a table saw. It looks like he cut the vinyl in half, or not in half, but kind of just customized the dimensions of it. And then essentially just very carefully put that on the conduit, probably started with one edge and then just like slowly wrapped it around the conduit to get a good finish on it. And obviously that contact paper is really thin, so you have to probably want to clean the conduit beforehand, and to avoid having debris underneath it that's sticking out. And you want to avoid wrinkles and all that kind of stuff. But looks like a really fantastic job if you get it right, which it looks like Patrick did, and just a really cool idea and just an awesome bed frame and canopy that he put together. So really cool. Thanks so much for sharing this. Next up is a cool one that we see sometimes. This is a Smitty sled, which is really cool, and essentially just use some of the design techniques that we've seen in the past, where it's a maker pipe flange mounted directly to the skis, and then there's vertical pieces of conduit going up, and then apparently he used threaded pipe inserts in the end of the verticals with a knob going through the Smitty sled into those verticals, and he just tightens those down, and then that kind of secures the verticals in place. We can see some other connectors here, like some cross braces with T connectors, which is a good idea. We also see there's some bracing in here with the adjustable angle hinge connectors, and that kind of goes back and supports this rod and reel holder back here. Guess they're doing some ice fishing. And then, of course, they painted the connectors red. We can see looks like a hot rod red. That adds at least 10 horsepower to the sled, and that's really cool. And just an awesome build, and just a really great technique for creating a Smitty sled. Like I said, we've seen a few of these over the years, and this is a really good technique for doing that if you're looking to make that idea or kind of make this build happen. Just pretty simple overall. You just mount the verticals to the skis with the flanges, mount the sled to the verticals with the knobs and the threaded pipe inserts, and then use different connectors to brace, and then add different accessories that you might need along the way. So really cool. Thanks so much for sharing this, Andrew. Awesome build. Next up is another build that is made to be mobile, and this is a bike trailer that was put together, and this was shared by Asa. And this is really cool. Essentially, it's just a bike trailer with a lot of bins in it, we can see, and it's just made so they can use it looks like an e-bike to haul around different things, like they've got some tree branches on there now. But essentially, it's just this kind of large rectangle that's bent 90 degrees in the corners to make this platform. I see some maker pipe T connectors going across to kind of support this. There is an arm they attached. It looks like some really cool stuff and techniques they use to mount this to their bike. We don't really get a close-up of that, unfortunately. If you're watching and want to share that, that'd be awesome. We also see, the arm is braced there. A couple of T connectors grabbing on, going up to that arm. A lot of bends in this using the handheld pipe and tube bender, which is really cool. Always love seeing those incorporated into builds. And just really cool. We don't really see exactly how the axle is mounted. Probably similar to what we've seen a bunch in the past, which is where you use a smaller rod or something that's smaller than 3/4 inch EMT conduit on the inside, and then you just use some kind of shim material to make an axle sleeve so that axle can spin. Or actually, really the axle doesn't spin, it's the bearings inside of the wheels. I don't know if that's the technique they use, but I'll link that video down below if you want to learn how to do that, if you are making a similar build. And then here we can see it's actually got some flat material mounted to the framework to support this basket. And pretty simple overall. Looks like it's just built to be kind of a purpose-built solution for hauling different things, and then he's got it customized depending on what he's using for that. So that's really cool. Thanks so much for sharing this. We love seeing it. Next up is an idea from Avery, and this is a battery charging station, which is really cool. Nice and simple build. It's just 4 verticals. Looks like the top of the verticals are using the flange hack that we've talked a lot about on the channel, where you combine a plumbing flange and an EMT connector together, and there's some caveat to that. I'll link that video down below so you can see which kind of flanges to use for that, and I think we're going to be doing a follow-up video here soon because we found out some more things with that. But essentially, it's really simple, just those 4 verticals mounted to that flat piece of material, and then there's some crossbars in the back there you can see with T connectors going across, and then that is just supporting these 2 pegboards. It looks like on the back he's got some wires routed and cable managed really well, and on the front here we can see all the different chargers that he's got for the different drills and different power tools he's got that he's charging for. And then we can see kind of all the cables back there plugged in. Just a really nice area to be able to drop the batteries off, get them charging and going. And he's got a light mounted up there as well, and just a really great solution. Nice and simple, just 4 verticals using some 90-degree connectors down here to make this rectangle to support this bottom platform, and then some maker pipe T connectors to add those cross supports that are supporting the pegboard there. So really cool. Awesome job, Avery. Really cool build, and just love seeing it. So thanks so much for sharing it. Our last 2 builds are from the King of Hacks, Matthew. He earned that title several years ago. Always love seeing whenever he comes back into the community and shares his latest creation. And this is really awesome. He has a race timing business for like road running and racing, which is really cool. And he uses MakerPipe to make all kinds of custom frames, as we've seen in the past. And this one is really awesome. This is a Walmart light stand, or I think it's a light stand. It's some kind of Walmart stand that he got and converted to be a tripod kind of mount for this race clock that he's got here. And essentially, he just took out the center tube of this tripod and then mounted 3/4 inch EMT conduit. And I think he said he put 1/2 inch EMT conduit in there as well to be able to telescope this and kind of make it taller if need be. But then essentially, actually, I think maybe that's what is down here. Maybe Actually, no, I think he's extending the tripod using the conduit couplings and then the MakerPipe quick clamps to kind of extend and add some height to the base. And then he's using the adjustable angle flange with some circular wood that he said he bought that was already pre-cut. And that is just adding a wide footprint to the base, which is really cool. And I guess he can pop those off really easily by just undoing the quick clamp and sliding those off. That's really awesome. Actually, no, that's where the 1/2-inch conduit is. So essentially, we can see there he's using a shim with the adjustable angle hinge or flange, and we can see there that he's using 1/2-inch EMT conduit. So I think he opens this coupling, and the 1/2-inch EMT can telescope out of that base down there and then extend the height of this there. And then he's got the 3/4-inch conduit that can telescope here using just the normal, kind of light stand knob. And that's how he slides the 3/4-inch EMT up and down. Really cool, awesome things incorporated into this. Would expect nothing less from Matthew because he's always doing all kinds of clever stuff. Definitely check out his original build interview from a while back. I'll link that down below. But this is really awesome. And he also shared another idea, which was a treadmill fan. And he used this stateriggingwarehouse.com. We tried to order some things from there, but we were having a lot of issues checking out. It wouldn't take any of the cards we were trying. And so that was really annoying, but I think it's a really good resource if you're able to get that working. And it has a lot of really cool accessories and things that you can use for builds. I think we're going to keep trying to maybe order some of that stuff because there was a lot of good ideas in there. But essentially, he just made this mount for a fan that goes underneath, and it looks like it's just EMT conduit grabbing onto a frame that he built around the treadmill, and it goes down and then kind of threads. He's probably using a threaded pipe insert to then mount this clamp onto something different, but similar that he did. But I think that clamp threads onto the EMT conduit there where that bolt is in the bottom, and then essentially is able to just clamp onto different things. And in this case, he clamped onto a fan, and that is what's kind of holding that in place. So that's really cool. And again, just love seeing all the creative things that he comes up with, like this water bottle mount as well, and just all kinds of cool stuff. So really cool, Matthew. Thanks so much for sharing this. And thanks to everybody for posting your builds. As always, we love seeing them. Keep them coming, and we'll keep doing episodes like this. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and consider subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave those down below as well. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.